Follow the sound to its source. Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this sort of a snare sound. It's a very popular snare sound. It's called the, I know what it's spelled, how to spell it, or at least I hope I know how to spell it. It's like P-Y-R-A-D-A, and I've heard it pronounced Pryda, so that's what I'm going with, even though I think it's, it looks like it said Pryda, I don't know. Anyways, these snares, they're really, really easy to make, like deceptively easier than I originally thought. There are two of them. One is the snare that does a shh. The other snare is the one that is the attack. That's the attack snare. That is, yeah, you may have not noticed, but that's two snares in that sound. And so when you're picking out your samples, you want something that's got some, if I take off the effects, or on mixer track 4, this is what it sounds like. That's the sample I went with. And you notice that they have that atmosphere. They've got some reverb on them. If your samples don't have reverb, don't panic. Just add reverb. Add reverb, and then whatever the decay time is, make sure it's not too long. Make sure it's the length that you want to do that. After you have your reverb on your thing, then the next step is you run it into a Maximus. You know what? There's only one effect. It's super easy. And you just pull every band up. So you pull every band up. You see I actually brought the high and post up as well. And I took the attack down on these guys. That's all you got to do. And now this is kind of important. Whatever this slope is, if it's a little bit off, like if it's something like this, your attack of the envelope may do something you don't like. So a little more forward, up front, a little bit faster. If we have something like this. And if you do it to like different envelopes, you could throw off the entire attack of your sound and it will come in sort of out of time and be a little confusing. So all you do, yeah, you pull it up. This is basically upwards compression or expansion. Go check out my video on Maximus in the FL12 effects series. There's actually like 5 videos where I explain this. There might even be more than 5. I don't remember anymore. But I talk about what all these buttons and knobs do. But I go over this graph because it's kind of unique to Maximus as far as the things that it can do. Now that's that guy. And right there, you already have the sound. But you also need to be a little bit clickier. So you add in another guy. And it's going into 5. And on 5, I'm using Native Instruments Transient Master. If you don't have this, you can use Maximus actually to accomplish something sort of similar. But I have the Transient all the way up. So that's the tone I want. That's how I wanted it to be. If you don't have it, we could get something similar with Maximus. So if we open up Maximus and turn that off so we aren't confused, and that's what we're going for, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the mids and put a dot there and pull it up. This is basically, it manipulates the compression envelope. So when the envelope says, hey, we're at this point, and then it reaches our grid, and our grid says, pull it up by this amount. So we got a pretty punchy mid, and you just do that to the highs. And you can really change things. Also take your attacks down so it can get at. It's not quite the same as it affects our sustain a little bit too. So this graph is sort of an interesting deal, but I prefer more what this guy does. So this guy sees the transient and can manipulate that. So, but it's very similar, sort of a similar thing. So you see, it's just, it can identify the transient just a smidge better. We could go in and mess with the shape of this and get a little bit closer to what's going on here. But I have a separate plug, so I don't care, so I'm not going to do that. But maybe you're going to do something like that. And you can accomplish just a different result. It sounds really cool, too. You don't need this. But Native Instruments Transient Master. There's other Transient Masters out there on the market. So at the end, you get this. And in the context of a little track, it sounds like this. Now I have a second thing going on here. These are just loops from Vengeance, so I wasn't about to just write a whole separate track for just like that sound. But I wanted to have some sort of a context that it could live in. If we get rid of this. And you see, there it is. You're good to go. Some people think it's like white noise or stuff, but I believe that most of the time it's just a snare that's been heavily upward compressed or expanded. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day.